Hello, everybody. Starting a new series on skiing. Um, I don't even know what I'm going to talk about, to be brutally honest. Skiing is it's not so much an action sport. I think it is. And adventures in skiing, it's something that I'm not very familiar. So I am going to interview a few friends, invite them to come and tell their experiences going off piste in the US and going off piste in Europe. Very different things, by the way. But let's talk about skiing just in general. It's one of those sports that you're not, you won't just pick it up, right? We talked about when we talked about mountain biking. Most people know how to ride a bike. I mean, how to go downhill on a mountain bike, different story. That being said, though, you have the basics. Skiing, unless you are fairly good at it, I would recommend against trying some adventures. But it doesn't mean that you cannot get good at it, no matter the age. So just to, without boring you guys too much about my own story, remember, I'm from Brazil, so we don't have snow. So the first time I actually saw snow in my life when I was 14, and my family with a few other friends, my parents' friends, decided to go to Argentina in Bariloche, just to basically see snow, right? And again, I was 14. So I was all good. I saw it, and then we actually went to the mountain and where they have a ski resort. And I remember looking it up, and I'm like, oh my god, right? I want to do this so badly. The other kids who were actually the other boys who were 14, my friends, didn't want to do it. I pretty much said beg my parents, and in their own unique style, they kind of left me there. They rented a pair of skis and boots and said, see you at 4. They asked when the mountain closed and said, okay, we'll come back here and pick you up. So they didn't pay for classes in hindsight. They didn't pay for anything. I didn't have gloves because I saw the pictures. I'm like, what were they thinking? Because I was 14. Anyway, I stayed the whole day there, up and down. Actually, I was going up by foot to where I thought it was really, really high. It was probably a bunny trail, right? But I was coming down looking at other people, how they are actually clipping their skis or even putting the boots in the lounge, because I had no idea. Spent the whole day there until 4 p.m. They came pick me up. I remember even telling them, wait, right? One more run. And I went as high as I could, higher than ever. And I came down with everybody watching, my parents, my sister, my friends, their parents. And I had a huge wipeout. I tore the yellow, very 80s suit in half. But I was so happy. And again, I was 14, so you never get hurt. So I didn't get to ski again until I was 28, when I was already living in the U.S. I had moved from Chicago to the East Coast, in close to Stamford, Connecticut, and then I said, you know what, I'm gonna learn this thing. So I bought like this pair of used skis on eBay and used boots. Yeah, go figure. Didn't have a lot of money, but yeah, they were used. I guess I cleaned them up and I was good to go. And I went to this quote mountain, nearby called Mohawk. It's more of a hill, but the point, it was perfect, right? Because I kind of learned every weekend by myself. Kind of weird because I never took one class in my life, but I did it because, again, I'm very stubborn. So you can learn, and I was 28. By the time I was 29, 30, I was getting better, right? So it gave me a couple of years. Up to today, when I am a licensed alpine race coach, given by the U.S. team. That was pretty hard to get. It took me a year and a half because my daughter is a ski racer, so I became a coach. And why not, right, to get the certification, the level 100 certification from the U.S. ski team. That was amazing. Great experience. We can talk about it. maybe in another podcast. And then I'm also a ski patroller. So I'm kind of became a professional skier. And of course, that was 12 years, 13 years after I kind of started. So anybody can do it. I think you can become a very good skier within in a matter of like 5 years if you put a lot of effort. One thing that's happening though is skiing is slowly dying. Look at the resorts. A lot of them are struggling financially. You see these big chains, Icon and Epic in the US and even overseas, buying everything. So smaller ski resorts are rare to find. You mean independent? Because I was listening to some experts sort of describe sort of the economics of skiing these days. It was a boom in the 90s and 80s and 90s, and then in the 2000s and nowadays in the last 10 years, it has been a decline for a few reasons. One is weather, right? We do have smaller windows and fewer snow accumulations than we had in the past. This is just a fact, whether you believe in, there's nothing to believe in my opinion, but it's just my opinion, climate change or not, it's a fact. Look at, right? If you ski for many years, you realize that. So that's one, just fewer days. The second thing is just the costs of skiing. It's not a cheap sport, right? If you don't own your equipment, you got to rent it. And it's not cheap. Plus, it typically involves a trip and hotels and meals and flights sometimes, right, depending on where you live. So it's an expensive hobby. And then the last part is skiing. I think the numbers are about 94% of people who try ski for the first time never come back. I mean, because you're gonna fall. It's gonna be miserable, right? Let's face it, right? It's like some other sports, like skateboarding, which I enjoy so much because I am fairly good at it. But when you start, you're gonna fall, right? You're gonna get hurt. It's difficult. You gotta be stubborn about it. You gotta really want it. You want to learn to be able to overcome that initial phase that is just not pleasant. And skiing, I think the number is about 95% of people kind of never do it again. They're like, yeah, or snowboarding, by the way. So they try it once and like, this is not for me. They may even try a weekend and it's like, this is not for me. So everybody who kind of goes over and tries more than a few times, typically, there is a higher, stickier rate. But that's another problem, right? So you got those three factors. I mean, together, it's just a declining number of skiers. And it's an aging population. So back to action sports and adventures in skiing. You can do it. I did it, right? And I was nearly 30. So, and I got to professional level, skiing. So if you are interested, then you can do some amazing things, right? You can go, of course, to the local mountains and resorts, and I would not call it neither an adventure or an action sport, unless you can try some terrain parks and the like. But there are a few cool things you can do if you are good enough, and if you have a guide. I would never recommend anybody go without a guide. You can go off piste. And I don't have a lot of experience in going off piste. Actually, the experiences that I have, one of them was not very good. I was in Colorado once, and I went to these glades, which is fairly steep section with a lot of fresh powder. I actually got stuck there for 40 minutes, and that was one of the days that I thought, okay, this is it. This is how I died. They're gonna find my body. When spring comes and everything is melted, then I'm gonna be there. I managed to kind of grab to some trees and dig myself out of that situation. I was by myself, and again in a very remote area, so I didn't see another human being for another hour. I do not recommend you getting to that kind of trouble like I did. That was certainly the last time for me. because there's no like GPS signal or anything like it. So go with a guide, go with somebody that actually knows that terrain. But I'm gonna invite in the next episodes. I just have to find time on their calendars to talk about European off-piste expeditions and even American off-piste expeditions. I have very good friends who are very good at it, and they have very good guides, and they've been doing it for many years. So I'm going to interview them instead of trying to come up with my own ideas about it. The other thing, which I will record after I come back, and this is going to happen in 5 months from now, is I would classify this as an adventure. I'm going to Austria, something I've been planning and thinking about for a few years now, and I'm gonna go down immediately. I'm gonna be there the week after the World Cup race in Austria. I mean, there are more than one, but in Kitzbühel, and I'm gonna go down this track, right, that they set up for the World Cup called the Strife. So there are some cool documentaries about it. I think Red Bull has the coolest one, talking about the Strife being considered to be probably the most difficult, but definitely the most dangerous and deadly amongst the World Cup racers. Of course, that's just what I want to do it, but also I want to see what it is like, right? The starting gate all the way down. It's a long track that they set up for the World Cup, and the week after they keep it like it is, and they leave it for amateurs to take their chance, at your own risk, of course. So I'm going there, and this is going to be just in 5 months from now. I'll definitely record something after to tell you the experience, what it's like skiing in Kitzbühel, coming down the Strife. My daughter is going to accompany me. She kicks my ass, so I hope she waits for me. She's a pretty good racer and better skier. Of course, she started when she was 2. I started when I was 28, so I still have some ways to go. So we're going to do it together. It's going to be awesome, and I'll definitely record something when I come back. So that's it for now about skiing. Not much to say until I interview my buddies and they tell their experiences in their adventures. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.